Hello, hello, hello. Good morning to everyone watching right now. Good evening or good afternoon, because everybody of our audience is basically based all over the world. Thank you for tuning in. Today's show is a little bit different than we would normally do because today we have a guest on the show, author of two number one selling books, Got Attitude and the 90-Day Marketing Plan, Cody Butler. Welcome, Cody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It's a real privilege. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, it's we are very grateful for you to be willing to be on our show. First off, I think it's good for you to tell a little bit more about yourself, Cody, so that everybody watching knows what it is you do, where you're based, your companies or
Sure.
company or multiple companies, and what it is you do.
Sure. So basically, I help businesses create more revenue, create more sales, create more customers. The actual part that people go into business for. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm always starting companies. It's what I love to do, and I think it started very young. I realized at a very young age, Marcel, that if I was going to get the things that I actually wanted out of life, I was going to have to be a little bit different. So I think when I was 11 years old, there was a bicycle that I wanted in the UK actually, and it was £200, and my pocket money was £1 a week at that point. So to 11-year-old, I was looking at 200 weeks, impossible. So I just grabbed a bucket and a sponge and started knocking on people's doors and say, hey, I'll wash your car for £5, and that's where it all started. That was my first business.
I think that's the core, right? Having that mindset, knowing where you need to start, and having that goal. I think one of the main things we all share is that we have that vision, we have that mission that we're heading towards to, and then it's a matter of just executing and building based off that. So I think that comes down to the core. So to tell a little bit more, basically on what you just recently launched or published is the 90-Day Marketing Plan. What is that book all about? So what is it?
So the book title is a dead giveaway. Hopefully, the 90-Day Marketing Plan.
Yes, it is. Definitely.
A lot of business owners go into business because they have a passion, they have something they love, and they have something that they're very good at, and they have the illusion that they can combine their passion with their income and create this utopic environment. But the reality is, most business owners are very good at the actual product service delivery side of what they do, but they're really lacking on the marketing side. There's the whole build it and they will come mentality out there, and it's really not true. It's like build it and you'll go broke is a more accurate statement, I would say. So what most business owners don't really understand when they first go into business is that marketing is the money part of your business. It's the money part of your business. If you're great at marketing, you're going to make great money. If you're poor at marketing, you're going to make very poor money. And most business owners fall into the category of being very poor at marketing through no fault of their own, that they focused, they've come out of a corporate environment, or they've come out of a company, and they just, they see how they can innovate. They see how they can improve on an area of the market, and that's their gifting, and that's what they're good at. But they don't understand the marketing side of things. So the utopic environment that they think that they're going to create actually turns into, a prison, basically.
Yeah.
So the 90-Day Marketing Plan is designed to give some structure, some direction, and some very actionable steps to any business owner to go from where they are to, really have a solid marketing plan. Guess how long?
Yeah. Well, probably 90 days. Well, so basically for a lot of people listening, I guess, and for me as well, I caught myself thinking the marketing plan basically, or the marketing in general, I mean, doesn't necessarily mean paid marketing, right? It's also, it's the way you present yourself out there. And that might be a misconception for a lot of people. It's not necessarily paid. It's just also the way you, besides that, the website presentation.
Exactly. So marketing is presenting your products or services in such a way that creates desire to purchase.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice way of saying. Yeah.
So that's really important. So clarity is a force multiplier. Focus is a force multiplier. So clarity is very important. Words are important. Words matter, and they really matter in marketing. So having, if you say, okay, well, we're going to create a marketing plan for your business, understanding that marketing is the money part of your business, then it's probably good to have a definition of what marketing is, right? So we can get that clarity about what we're going for. So what
is your definition of what it comes down to marketing in general for people?
So it will be what I just said. So it'll be presenting your products or services in such a way that creates desire and interest to purchase.
Basically what you said before.
To purchase, that creates desire and interest to purchase is the important part of that statement. So a lot of people create a website thinking that they're marketing. It creates no desire and interest to create an impulse for a purchase. So they think that they're marketing, but they don't have a clearly defined definition of what marketing is, which is, presenting your products in a way that creates a desire to purchase.
Yes.
Do you think marketing's actually got harder for people because there's more different things now to do with social media? The digital age has presented lots more options now. So do you think it's got a more difficult for people?
Yeah, that's a good question, Darren. So I don't think, like, the time that we're in is unprecedented opportunity intermingled with unprecedented difficulty.
Yeah.
So we have more opportunity than we've ever had in the history of mankind, and we've got more challenges than we've ever faced in the history of mankind. So it's like you want no opportunity and no difficulty. So, the difficulty comes because, like, you have to understand marketing is two things. It's human psychology and it's math.
Yeah.
Human psychology is the same from Julius Caesar to the Jetsons. Math is the same from, Adam and Eve to, the Jetsons. Math never changes. Human nature never changes. Human beings don't fundamentally change. So
I like that.
What drives human beings forward, what gets human beings to make decisions is still the same. But where the difficulty comes in is there are so many choices out there. There are so many shiny objects. There are so many people screaming that it confuses people.
Yeah, that's what basically a lot of marketing is.
So what happens is
to make sure you do it in certain ways that keeps it interesting. Obviously, at a certain moment, we get used to certain.
Yeah. So great marketing, Marcel, is simplicity on the far side of complexity. Was what I like to say, and what I mean by that, it's the simplest thing in the world, but most people have to go all the way through complexity to get to the realization that this is actually very simple.
Yeah.
So with the business owner, what happens is they become confused. When they become confused, they become overwhelmed, and when they become overwhelmed, they just go into a state of inactivity, and that is the enemy. Yeah. That's the enemy. So it's not that marketing is necessarily difficult or it's more challenging than it once was. It's that there are so many choices that your enemy now is confusion and overwhelm.
Yeah, that's true.
So sorry, go on.
So please go on. Well, what is it you want to say?
Yeah, so as I said, clarity is a force multiplier. So once you become clear and once you become focused, it's like that has a compounding effect on your activities. So step one is always getting really, really clear. What do you want? Why do you want it? Once you know those two things, then actually everything else becomes really relatively simple.
Yeah, it's very easy. It's always kind of like seeing that goal, seeing that purpose, seeing that where you want to head into, and then break it down into smaller portions, and then building up those smaller portions in a way that and obviously you never really know whenever something's going to succeed, but in a way that you find out through experience that it's going to work out. So if you would give advice for people just starting out, so let's say people have no experience within this marketing field, what would you say, what is a great place to start? So is it that sitting down, writing out, or how would you say your advice would be for small business or people willing to start?
So that's a good question. I like that question. So the first thing is going to be, it's going to be nothing to do with marketing at all. It's going to be like, why are you doing what you're doing? Let's figure that out. Yeah, because let's just be honest, we're all business owners. It's like, it's difficult, right? It's difficult, it's hard. And it's like, if you're going to push through the difficulty, if you're going to make this work, it's like, you've got to have motivation. It's early in the morning where you guys are. You guys got out of bed early in the morning to do this show. Why? Because you're motivated. Why are you motivated? Because I'm guessing you've got a vision bigger than you, right?
Yeah. That gets me even motivated by you saying that. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I can feel it flowing through me. But
you'd just be in bed. If you didn't have that vision, you would be. I mean, I get up. I'm in Australia, so I deal with crappy times as well. I mean, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do interviews. Why? Because the vision is bigger than sleep.
It's true.
I want to feel the success more than I want to feel the comfort of sleep. So you've got to know what it is. You've got to know what it is that you want, and you've got to know why you want it, and that why has to be bigger than you.
Yeah,
it has to be more important than
obviously.
you.
It cannot surround around you, because if it surrounds around you, then you will be self-motivated, and it goes hand in hand. Because obviously we all feel the satisfaction of striving for that goal, but it has to be bigger, obviously, because that is in the end. Your clients, the people that you work with, they need to have benefits from something. So that's okay.
So after they've kind of established what it is why they want to be doing what they're doing, what would you advise is the next step?
So once you've got that clarity, it's then to formulate. It's to start with the end in mind. So what's the end goal? What's the end game?
Yeah.
So most people just go through. It's like whatever's next, right? Whatever's next, whatever shows up. There's no plan. So what's the end game? Where do you want to be? Why do you want to be there? So let me give you an example. So when I started a marketing agency, not because I wanted to start a marketing agency, I had a bunch of conditions that I wanted in a business. So I'm English, my wife's Australian, so travel was always going to be a part of our lives, stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, I need a business that I can operate from anywhere in the world with an internet and a phone connection. I need a certain amount of income to fund this. I don't want to be flying economy class, 27 hours across the. If anyone's done that, it's not fun. I want to be flying business class at least. It's like, so I need a certain amount of income. It needs to be high ticket. It needs to be reoccurring. It needs to be free from government regulation. It needs to be all of these criteria. There's probably 20 or 30 criteria of what I was looking for in a business. That was my end goal. And then I started working backwards from there. It's like, okay, well, I have to be able to operate from anywhere in the world. Well, a coffee shop's out of the question then, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's true. That might be a little bit difficult.
So I started working backwards and then arrived at marketing agency. And it's like, okay, well, this is the business that's going to support that's going to support my outcome in the business, which supports my why. So now there's alignment all the way through.
Yep.
So it's starting with the end in mind. So the first question is, what's the end goal? And then the only thing, everything then needs to lead to the next step. What is the next step? Map that out. If you want to do $1 million in sales this year, we'll map that out. You need to do $100,000 this month. We'll map that. Then you need to do $25,000 this week. Then you need to do $3,000 today.
Yeah, I like that, because I've seen that online. It was like, well, basically, if you break that down, if I put some money aside every single day, to become a millionaire. Obviously, it's about the goal. So basically, what it comes down to is setting that foundation, setting what it is that you want yourself and what it is that you want to offer as value towards the person. And once you have that foundation, that's where you build a successful business, because otherwise you don't really have an idea on where you're going towards to. So that might be your advice for people just starting out. So first, get that 100% clear, and that might take some time, I guess.
It should take some time.
Yeah, and it will always develop, right? It's kind of like something that keeps on developing. I mean, I noticed myself that, the way the mission and the vision where I want to head towards. I started as a freelancer and then kind of like evolved. Okay, well, I'm turning into a business. So that's an on-evolving thing. So don't be afraid to So for the people just starting out or people, looking at it, don't be afraid to be wrong. Also, being wrong is a good thing, because that gives you some knowledge in learning, like, okay, how do I need to do it differently, or where do I need to change? And also the market changes.
Sorry, Marcel, I missed that last bit.
Sorry, and I said, and also the market changes. So basically that all goes and is connected. So in terms of an effective marketing plan, so continuing a little bit about your book, an effective marketing plan, would you say, how would you describe that? Obviously, having the foundations right, and is that getting the results, or how would you sum up?
Yeah, foundation is everything. Your foundation is everything. So you've really got to know who you serve. You've got to know what they really want. Those are the two things, right?
And that makes up an effective marketing plan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the foundation of everything. I mean, it's basic stuff, right? I mean, set plays wins games.
Sorry, come again?
Set plays wins games.
True story. Yeah.
It's set plays that win games. It's not the superstar. I mean, the superstar gets all the glory, but it's the set plays that win the games.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, here. It's like, it's marketing basics. It's like getting the fundamentals nailed. It's getting your fundamentals nailed. It's understanding how is wealth created? How is wealth created? And then pursuing that. So let me give you an example. So
yeah.
In order to create, you can't pursue wealth directly. You can't pursue happiness directly. You can't really pursue anything directly. And what I mean by that is like to create ice, for example, you can't pursue ice directly. You have to understand the environment in which ice is created, which is water and a sub-zero environment. If you put water in a sub-zero environment, you don't have to get down on your knees in front of your freezer and start praying and say, please turn to ice. This drink is too hot. No, nothing else can happen. It's a natural law.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same with business.
Absolutely. So it's understanding where is wealth created? How is success? You can't chase success directly. You can only understand how it's created.
It's true. It's part of basically a lot of people are focused on certain things, certain aspects, but it's part of, you need to enjoy the journey itself as well. Absolutely. And the end goal could definitely be, I want to earn a certain income, but that's part of the process. I would say you cannot focus on that, but you can focus on that, but it's something that goes along with it. The benefits that you experience goes along with throughout the process. Yeah. And
sorry, I was going to say.
Sorry, Darren.
No, go for it, Cody.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. So if I'm looking to increase sales, if I'm looking to go on a drive and create more sales, the conversation that I'll have with my team, I won't go to them and say, how can we create more sales? Because that's going to create a horrible experience. That's probably going to have the opposite effect. They're going to cut corners and they're going to try and, that doesn't work. So I'll go to my team, and the conversation that I'll have with them is I'll say, guys, how can we create a better experience for our customers?
Yeah.
How can we find a way? Has anybody got any ideas how we can add more value to what it is that we're doing? How can we improve our offering? Because that's the water and that's the freezer, right? It's like, how can we add more value? That's the freezer. How can we create a better experience for our customers, for our users, for our clients? That's the two things coming together. That's the environment in which wealth will be created. That's the environment in which success will come. Yeah. So once you understand that, it just becomes a question of asking better questions. How can we create a better experience? How can we create more value? Focusing on those things will produce the end result.
True.
Here's a question for you. There's a lot of businesses out there that kind of compete in the same market, so they've become quite saturated. So in your experience, what advice would you give to somebody to have a sort of a more improved competitive advantage over their kind of similar businesses?
Yeah, so it's going to depend on if are we talking tangibles or non-tangible goods? Essentially, are we talking like services or products? Would you say? Because
let's go with services, because there's always a bit more tricky with services, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. So services is actually really easy. So the one thing that you only have one USP, Darren. You only have one genuine USP, and that's that you are you. There's only one Darren Winter. Yeah. So my advice is, a lot of people they'll try and imitate somebody or they'll try and copy someone. I'm like, you've just given away your only USP.
That's true.
Give people will want to work with you in a service-based environment because they like you.
I like that.
They'll work with you because they like. So, I'm like, I'm quite direct. I'm quite to the point. It's like I don't deal with stupidity very well. I don't deal with inactivity very well. So it's like if you watch any of my material that I put out there, the goal of that is to expose my personality so it attracts the people that like that directness and it repels the people that don't. So at the end of the day, it's like, if you want a very direct approach, if you're going to take action, you're going to get a lot of love. If you don't take action, you're going to get the stick. Yeah. If you want to be told straight, then I'm your guy, right? And that's my USP. If I try to be Darren Winton, if I just look at your website and copy you, and I try and copy your podcast, it's like, why would somebody work with me when I'm imitating you? Why wouldn't they just go to the genuine article?
Yeah.
So the first thing is let your personality shine through.
And that's also the easiest, to just be yourself. I mean, and but the tricky thing is that, some people might say, well, but I'm not that interesting. Well, that's not true. You just need to find a way to make yourself, obviously, you need to provide value in a certain way. And you cannot please everybody. That's something a lot of people need to keep in mind as well. You cannot just please everybody. Sorry?
Or should you try?
Yeah. And I mean, if they don't like you, so be it. If you be yourself, that's the easiest. And if you feel, well, I'm not interesting enough, I think that's not you obviously need to offer something of value, but then that's basically what it comes down to. So what I just wanted to say in between is if anyone has any questions for us or for Cody, or if you have any thoughts about what we're talking about right now, definitely put it down in the chat and we will address that right now, because we're live. So one of your sayings, obviously by the little pre-chat, and was your favorite saying was focus on income generating activity.
Absolutely.
Why is that your favorite saying? What is it? Can you explain a little bit more about that? Why you feel that, or why? Because
business is about is about income. Like, people argue with me about that, and they go, oh, well, what about contribution? What about this and that? It's like, well, you can, if you want to do something charitable, you can go to church, you can join a charity, whatever. It's like, there's lots of ways to make charitable contributions. Business is about income. It's about producing income. So, I don't make any bones about that. It's like, I'm in business to make money. That's it.
True. It's a way to sustain as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm not confused about that. So if I'm in business to make money, then surely income generating activity is the most important thing I can be doing.
True.
So again, it's a mindset. So you've got to understand that as human beings, we will not act in a way that's inconsistent with our core identity. So if our core identity is that of a business owner, we can spend a lot of time during the day doing activities that don't generate income. Like, we could be paying invoices, or we could be dealing with the accountant, or we could be negotiating with suppliers, stuff like that. All of that satisfies the identity of being a business owner, but none of it's income generating.
No, that'd be true.
When you shift your identity to say, I'm a marketer who owns a business, my identity is a marketer who happens to own a business. Now, your activities of a marketer, or your activities as a marketer, generally by default are going to be income generating.
Yeah, I think, but that makes pretty much sense, right? I mean, in terms of you need money to sustain a business, and this income, obviously you need to focus on that. Otherwise, there will be no business. I mean, you can do it I think that, it goes along with other passions in terms of like what you want to offer, value-based. But one of the things, and a lot of people perceive that as a negative thing. Well, you're only focused about the money. Well, and if that's so, what's wrong about that? If that's a person's goal, and being focused on, some people are very materialistic. There's nothing wrong about that. If you idealize that, then that person should do that. And if that's their goal, they should focus on that. There's nothing wrong about that. And in the end, it's about what makes you happy.
That's right.
And a lot of people take.
I was going to say, a lot of what you're talking about, Cody, is similar to the 4-hour work week with Tim Ferriss. Kind of read through that book. So, how would you say what you're advising is maybe slightly different? Do you kind of still subscribe to there is such a thing as a 4-hour work week now?
Well, that's a very sexy title that did what it was intended to do, which was to entice people. And he's not suggesting in that book that you should work 4 hours a week. It's basically a book on business process outsourcing, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with that. But even there, look, here's my philosophy on that. It's like, just because Tim Ferriss would say anything that can be outsourced should be outsourced. I disagree with him on that. So my question is, what brings the best version of Darren to the business? What brings out the best version of Darren? Because that's what's going to be best for the business. So for, what brings, there are certain things that bring out the best of me. Interviews, for example. I love interviews. Like, I've got a whole team that just set up interviews for me because that brings out the best of me. And if the best of me is coming out, then that's going to translate to my team. That's going to translate to my customer experience, and that's going to translate to my bottom line. So, it's like, I shouldn't outsource that even if I can, and vice versa. There's stuff that brings out the worst of me, so I need to get that off the table. So the question is, sorry, go on, Marcel.
No, sorry, but it's true what you're saying. But then, you kind of maybe a little bit agree on that. You outsource the stuff, and maybe I misunderstood that wrong. But you outsource the stuff that obviously you need to keep doing what you're good at, and what your important role is within the company. You cannot outsource everything, but you need to outsource the stuff that can be outsourced, or hire someone for that sake, right? So that's something you do agree on, then.
Oh, I outsource lots and lots of stuff. I do, like the stuff that brings out the best of me. I do it myself, even if I can outsource it. So there are certain tasks within the business that I could outsource, but it's like it gets me excited, it gets me energized, it gets me interested. So if it's bringing out those qualities in me, then I need to keep doing them, because those tasks, because those are the qualities that are going to inspire and motivate.
Yeah.
So just because you can outsource, it doesn't necessarily mean you should out. I mean, it's a matter of opinion, right? I mean, if you're genuinely going after a 4-hour work week, but I would say, like, if you feel like you're working 40 hours a week or whatever, you're in the wrong business anyway. I mean, I'm at work now. It doesn't feel like it.
No, it's 100% true. It's part of your lifestyle. It's part of.
I love it.
You are.
If you're doing what you love, you shouldn't be looking at, how can I outsource what I love? How can I get rid of what I love? It's like, there are a few tasks during the week that are,
it's
like,
true. You shouldn't strive for making that work week unless you just want to be as less involved as possible, I think. And then the outsourcing is just on stuff that, that someone else can easily do. And you should focus on the stuff that is important for what you should do, and what only you can do best, and the rest, that can be automized, that can be outsourced. Well, all right. So, last question. I don't know if Darren has any more questions. So, if we would look forward, so we're already mostly through 2020. Looking forward to 2021, would you say that focusing on being value based will? I think it's a core fundamental, obviously, but will there be more interesting? Will there be maybe a shift? What are the trends for 2021? It sounds really like an awful question, but what can we see happening? Do you have any ideas on that? What we're heading towards?
Yeah, I mean, it's like nothing good. It's like the direction that the world's going in it's not a good direction right now. I don't think. I mean, obviously, like there's the pandemic, which may, whatever you feel about that, like, but, that's fine. I'm not going to get into that, but it's like, the actions that the governments are taking to deal with this, that there's going to be serious repercussions within the business community for sure.
Oh yeah.
Whether the virus is real or not is one thing. The actions that the government's taking are absolutely 100% real. So, I would say, like, moving forward, I think people are going to be looking at reducing unnecessary expenditure.
Yeah.
So as a business owner, I'm looking at, I work with businesses. So the way I'm looking at it is like, how can I shift to work with businesses that own essential services, or how can I work with businesses that now have become prominent that weren't prominent before? So a great example with that is, like, I'm working with lots of, or not lots, but I'm working with a number of dental offices in California, because the only service that they're allowed to provide is emergency dental. So a lot of dental offices that were not really focused at all, not even concerned about emergency dental, now it's really on their mind, and they really want to promote that. They really want to help pushing that, because it's all they've got. It's all they can. So that's me going, like, okay, well, let's look and see, a shift has happened here. Some businesses have gone down, but some have risen up. Where are the businesses that are coming up that need the help? So as entrepreneurs, I would look at it like that. It's like, which businesses are going to rise up? Which sectors are going to rise up as a result of what's going on?
Yeah.
And really, hit your wagon to that, versus which industries are going to, I wouldn't be starting an airline at this point in time or anything like that. I wouldn't be buying a hotel or a travel agent. It's like,
it's true. It's kind of looking at the environment in which we are in right now, and then see where that is heading. It's very funny, and that's very funny to see that once that COVID hit, everybody kind of like, we cannot go to the gym anymore. We were bound to stay at home. So there was a high increase in e-commerce. It was an insane increase in e-commerce fitness equipment. Yeah. So, playing on that stuff, keeping that in mind, thinking what can happen, where will it all lead to, and then play onto that. And that's something you also have to implement, in your marketing, like you mentioned, those dental offices, basically.
Target market. Who's your target market now?
Target market.
What do they need? Target market need. The target market and the need has shifted. So,
and what do they need in the future? Because a lot of people are looking at right now, but what it might be more interesting as well to look into the future.
6 months, 12 months. And look, Marcel, this is nothing new. I mean, a pandemic on a global scale with this level of government intervention is new. Obviously, we've not experienced that as far as I'm aware. But like, if we look at some point, newspaper ruled the world, and then radio came along, and it was a tectonic shift in the way marketing was done. And a few years later, television came along, and again, opportunity presented. Some businesses profited, some businesses went the other direction. A few years later, the internet comes along. So how business is done is constantly evolving. This is nothing new. It's always changing. This is a shift of how business is going to be done. So there'll be winners and there'll be losers, and that's going to come down to the individual. It's like, is this the opportunity that you've been waiting your entire life for? Are you going to go, hide under your bed and put some covers over you and just hope it all goes away?
Yeah, it's true. It's just a little bit of a different environment, but it always goes. And I'm a firm believer of this as well. It always goes back to the basics. The basics will always remain the same. Just the environment changes, and you have to adjust to that. So looking for what will work in terms of like what in 2021, well, we can only predict so much of what will come and how we can hook up onto that. And if that is in terms of marketing strategies, it will play itself out. And just, I think also interesting in trying something new, but definitely being focused on specific, keeping it very specific and not targeting anyone. But, we can go on and on about that. Is there, let's finish up this live show right now. So do you have any last thing to say, any tips that you want to share? And maybe also some shout outs on where they can find you, more information about you. That might be interesting, obviously. As well.
Yeah. Look, here's my advice. I've got 2 pieces of advice really, and it's like, never give up. Like, know what you want, know why you want it, and never give up. That's it. Like, most people just quit too soon. That's all there is to it. Tony Robbins says most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year and underestimate what they can achieve in 10. And I find that to be true. It's people think that things are going to happen faster in the short term than they actually do, and they think that they can accomplish much less than they can in the long term. So never give up. If you believe in what you're doing and you're called to it, it's for you, it's your purpose in life. Just don't give up. Never give up. And the second piece of advice is really enjoy the journey. Just allow yourself to be a passenger some of the time. Just allow yourself to be a passenger and be, everything that. If I could go back and talk to a younger me, it would be like, enjoy the journey. It's like a lot of the things that I stressed about, a lot of the things that caused me worry and problems, waste of time, man. I'd probably have a little bit more hair now if I hadn't worried about it. You obviously worried a lot there, Darren.
I'd say, I've got nothing.
but that's it. Enjoy the journey. It's like, we're in this because it's supposed to be fun, right?
It's true.
It's supposed to be fun. We start businesses because it's supposed to be fun, and it provides something that the job and the conventional route doesn't provide. It's like, so just enjoy it. Just have a good time. Don't let it become a prison for you. It doesn't need to be. And if you want to find me, then I'm available on pretty much the usual suspects, social media. If you just search Cody Butler on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, CodyButler.com, obviously. Books are available on Amazon. Just search Cody Butler on Amazon. Also, the 90-day marketing plan.biz. The 90-day marketing plan.biz is where
Thank you so much.
Before you go, I just want to ask, what's the next big thing for Cody? What's next on your hit list? What do you want to be achieving?
So the next thing for me is legacy.
Right. Legacy.
So this is. Like when you're talking about the end game, it's like, this is the ultimate end game, right? It's like, what are you going to leave behind? Are you going to leave your kids something to take over? Because that really shifts how you think. That really shifts the the decisions that you make on a daily basis. So it's like this interview, even here, for example, it's like the question that I ask myself is like, how is this interview, or how I conduct myself on this interview, how is that going to affect my legacy? Because this is forever, right? It's out of my control at this point. It's like this is your guys' intellectual property. You can do whatever you want with it. So it's like how I conduct myself, what I say, impacts my legacy. So that affects my decision making at this time. So whereas previously I'd ask myself, what's the income generating activity today, or how does this impact income generating activity? Now I'm asking myself, how does this impact my legacy, or how does this work towards my legacy?
Oh, so that's great. That's a great answer. And before you go, please say hi to Mary, because she's been great on email. So she's been chasing me down for this date for this podcast. So she's very well organised and very, very pleasant to deal with. So hi to Mary.
Mary is amazing. Is there a copy of this I can get somewhere? I can send it to her, because she will really appreciate that. Because she doesn't she only gets to see the back end of the business. She only gets to see the email inbox. She just rarely gets to see this stuff.
I'll make sure we'll send you the link today, so you'll get the whole recording.
And it's basically already on Facebook right now, so it's for everybody to enjoy. So, Cody, thank you so much for being on today's show.
Bless you, boys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Anything I can do to help you out, let me know. I'd love to reciprocate here as well. So thank you.
Definitely. We'll happily come on your show if you let us know a time, or we'll happily come across and talk about something.
Mary will be in touch.
All right.
We will be in touch with Mary. No, thank you so much, Cody. I hope everybody enjoyed the live show as well. Subscribe to our social channels. We're not only on video, we also do audio. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and basically all the other audio platforms. That was it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you so much.